Hey guys, Jonathan Howard here. It's Friday, means another video. But this video is a little bit different. This week we asked you guys what you guys wanted to hear about. And you guys asked some questions about social media, about branding, about storytelling that I am going to answer. So I'm going to answer, I believe I got about 4 or 5 questions I can answer here. Hopefully I'll keep it quick so we get through them all. The first question is actually from Darren. And that is, how do you turn social media followers into clients? And that's a question I get a lot because a lot of people want, the reason that they're using their social media is because they want to build up their business. And that's a great goal. Unfortunately, it's not necessarily going to happen right away. Social media is a long game, and what you really need to make sure you're doing, and in order to get these people to be not only followers, but eventually clients, is educating, informing them, providing useful information, and remembering it's the long game. And that's probably not the answer that you're hoping for. You were hoping I would tell you that you can do it very quickly by doing A, B, and C. Unfortunately, that's not the case. You really need to focus on providing them educational, useful, entertaining information so that they are following you and engaging with you regularly. And then when they're ready for the service that you offer, then they will be ready for the service that you offer and you'll be top of mind. It's really, the concept is you want to be their first call when they need a service, the service that you provide. So what you're trying to do is make sure that you are the first person they call when they need your service, whether it's massage or social media or need some printing, whatever it is. You want to be top of mind when they need it, so that when they say, oh my goodness, I need to go print my wedding invitations, they know to go to you. Oh my goodness, I need to go to a yoga class because I really just need to center myself, then they know to go to you. So that's really what you're doing. It's the long game. It's not necessarily something that you can do immediately. But the good news is you do get clients out of it. It can be done. You just need to make sure that you're staying top of mind, that you're staying consistent, that people see you as value and they think of you when they need something. So that's question number 1. All right. So after Darren's question, our next question is from Max and Patrick, and they asked if it's necessary to constantly change your hashtags on social media. So what I tell people is your hashtags are like your Dewey Decimal System. Your hashtags are how people find you. If you're using hashtags that people are no longer using, then they're not going to find you. So staying up to date on hashtags is an important aspect of social media, making sure that you have the current hashtags, making sure you have hashtags that people are checking, and hashtags that are appropriate for your content. You don't want to put a Throwback Thursday hashtag on something from Monday that has nothing to do with it. Use motivation. Really important that you are using hashtags. Use about 12 hashtags per post. I always recommend burying them. There's a way that you can copy and paste a series of dots so that they're buried and it doesn't look like you're begging for followers, but you should include them because that's how people find content on Instagram, especially, and on Twitter. They follow hashtags and what hashtags are trending. If you want your content discovered, that's going to be how you're going to do it. There are some great tools out there that you can use to research hashtags. You don't have to change it every day. You don't have to change it every week. Just make sure that your content is appropriate. And what I usually do is every month I will research the best hashtags in certain areas and add that to my assortment of hashtags for specific posts that I'm doing. Next question. Our next question was from Julie. And Julie asked, how do you keep storytelling concise and focused? So that's hard, especially people, and you might be like me, you like your words. And it's hard sometimes to keep your storytelling concise and focused. Here are some tips that I use. 1, focus on the point that you want to get across. So you have a specific point that you want to get across. Focus on the aspects of your story that get that point across. Next, be aware of your audience. Is your audience going to engage with certain parts of your story? If they're not, don't use it. Use only the specific parts of the story that they're going to engage with, that get your point across, that people will understand. Just trying to tell a story about the power of storytelling. Let me say the power of storytelling is I wanted to get this point across. I would tell them about when I first discovered the power of storytelling. Um, and I first discovered the power of storytelling not that long after I left Boston and I moved down to DC. And I was asked to speak about something that happened to me up in Boston. I was attacked, and I was asked to talk about it, and that was not something that I would ever do. Um, my words, my thoughts, my everything was internal. I was not that person that would speak out, but I realized as I was going through this that I didn't want anybody to ever have to go through what I had gone through. Um, so I said I would talk, and it was definitely the time I discovered the power of storytelling, um, and how it can affect people and how it can bring them into your life and make them feel connected and want to do something good for you, good for what happened. Um, and that was amazing to me. And that's really where I built a lot of my career in storytelling from, because having that power and having the ability to get people to understand what something means, and using your story to get people to understand and take action and make a difference, um, is huge. And, my story, the words I used on stage that day were actually part of the Matthew Shepard hates crime bill argument. Senator Kennedy used it as part of his floor speech. And, like all those things, it was something that happened to me, and it was an awful thing that happened to me, but it brought about amazing things. And I've helped so many people tell their story and be able to do that because of what happened to me. And it sucks, but it's also probably the best thing that could have ever happened to me. So, keeping your story concise and focused, just focus on the aspects of your story that are important at that time. There's other aspects of your story that will be important at other times, but, keep it focused to the specific point you're trying to make. And I hope that helps, Julie. Our next question, I think our last question, or maybe there's one more, is from Amy. Amy Stillwagon of Newburgh Envelope, and she asks, "How do you write your story in a voice your customers will find engaging?" And I'll say, Amy, what voice do you use with your customers that they find the most engaging? When you're speaking with your customers, when do they engage with you the most? What do they find the most entertaining? What do they like about your personality? And try to kind of use that as a guide for the voice that you should tell your story in. While you're using your business story kind of you're using it to highlight you and what makes you special and what makes people like to work with you. So your story should be very much you. It doesn't have to be incredibly. It should be professional, but it doesn't have to be rigid. And I always tell people this: your authentic story and your authentic self is really based in who you are deep down. It's not, I studied this and I know I need to do this, this, and this. That's not where your authentic voice is. That's not where you're going to get your authentic story from. That is really from who you really deeply are. I got my abilities from certain things. I've learned how to do other things. I've taught myself A, B, C, and D. That's great. But who I am is who I've always been and who I've grown into. So really just using the voice that you are familiar with, like, "Dog, stop." How's that voice? And that your customers connect with, I think, is the best way to say it, and to engage your followers, is to do that. And I hope that helps you guys.